probably a year, or not a little more than a year ago, and that's how Holtville Electric and our center submitted their applications, and now we've got to go with it.
So the timing and such that I put in here is just a draft or suggestion. I put that in there based on my understanding of SCAG timing of their grant cycle.
And that's what I was trying to get to, so that the local agencies know, okay, come September 15th, we need to have a grant in.
I don't think SCAG published the exact timeline. The next step is just to put in there that the implementation workbook will be passed out to, a copy will be provided to each jurisdiction, all the cities in the county, to provide one to staff and also to decision makers. Another next step is to conduct an internal audit of plans and ordinances. And like I say here, the implementation workbook will include a plan and ordinances audit form, so that it'll help guide which ones to look at, what to look for, and how to kind of score that. And then I just put in here the Compass Blueprint website. It has a lot of information. It provides just more detail on the background of Compass, but that's also where you can look for the update for the demonstration project grant funding cycle. Another possibility is to apply for a demonstration project to, at a city level or the county as well, to look at, to assist in creating and updating general plan goals and policies. So SCAG is willing, and their toolbox that they offer through Compass Blueprint is one of the things that they do want to try and do is support jurisdictions to do that. So another possible demonstration project is to, one of the things they do is provide economic development assistance to identify, go out to specific communities, specific areas, to identify sites with infill potential and do an economic analysis to estimate citywide infill capacity and just identify other opportunities and constraints for infill. Another thing that local jurisdictions could do, and the workbook will include a project assessment list, is to evaluate development project consistency with the growth vision and guiding principles and how projects are going to be implemented. Like I said, it'll have a list of things to look for and kind of score that project on how well it does or doesn't meet both with the compass-oriented things, but then the list can also, cities should also start looking at, sort of based on specific local issues, what do they need to be looking for in order for it to meet their needs. And then, kind of in line with the strategy that we talked about earlier about creating assessment about looking at developer incentives, one of the next steps could be looking at what the project review process is and where local jurisdictions feel like they can provide incentives. The workbook will include a list of those options, and then just one thing that we identified that would be important is to make sure that, obviously that those incentives are going to be important to publicly notice, so it'll just include a sample public notice. And then I had planned to give this presentation in PowerPoint, so there's just a few, on the screen. So there's just a few visualization pictures in here to help you see what the possibilities are. So that's most of the presentation, or that is the presentation, it's most of the program. You guys have input on whether the strategies you feel like are effective or whether they'll work. If you have input on other next steps, other strategies, I would love to hear your guys' input, and I'm willing to answer any questions you have. And this will also be presented to the Regional Council on the 23rd.
This is for you. The next steps, we've got several steps outlined. Who's going to be the leader to move forward those next steps? I mean, individually, the cities can do our part for what we are, but on a regional basis, who's going to be the point person to try to process this and get it before the board in the appropriate time? Is that your Bob? I mean, how does that?
Yeah, that would probably be, it would be IRAG, yes, it would be either myself or Bob, and we work, we'd be taking this up to, eventually up to SCAG, and that would be the process. But remember, all cities are members of SCAG, so you can actually take this directly to SCAG without IRAG, assistance, but we're more than happy to help you. The more effort coordinated, the better. And under the strategy section, I've tried to put in a possible, I suggested, responsible agency and funding sources, and then a priority for those strategies. So we've offered one way of doing things if you think there is a better way, or a different agency that should be responsible. We've tried to provide a suggestion for each of those, so there's as much potential for implementation and actually making things happen as possible. Other questions or input? Does it seem feasible? Does it make sense? Does it seem too pie in the sky? Does it seem realistic? I'm not going to get much about that.
Just got a question on
Yeah.
your growth projections. Were there any considerations or statistical information given on industrial growth? Or was this all just projected urban residential growth?
It was based on state population projections, and they do factor in. It's not just looking at residential growth. I mean, they incorporate all the, whether it be industrial or birth and death, and all of the different social and demographic changes.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And if you guys have, I put my contact information in there, so if you do in the next, week or week and a half have further input, please feel free to email me ideas. Thank you very much.
We had a consideration of doing, we looked at those 4 cities and 3 cities, which you mentioned having similar impact the ordinance. I'm assuming that they're different in of course, then you're going to be doing regional, and you want to do everything consistent. So is there a thought to do at least those 4 uniform?
I didn't get that specific, but trying to align developer requirements and development regulations, not just across the 4, the 4 cities definitely would make the most sense, but across the region is one of the, and how to do that is one of the things that I would see needs to be incorporated into that action plan that we suggested to do at a regional level, to prepare at a regional level. So one of the strategies was to do regional coordination, and then the next step was to prepare an action plan for that coordination. And one of the actions, or one of the things to target in that action plan would be specifically coming up with similar regulations and standards. And focusing on the 4 cities.
And you said, you mentioned it earlier, some of that's already been started the county through their transportation planning right now. At least the city of Imperial has adopted the same classification standards for roadways, et cetera, that the county has in place. And we all have a team that's being put in, so regionally, we can work forward. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else on that item before we move on? Okay, move on to reports. 2.1, Regional Council Coordinator. 2.11 is the ad hoc committee update and progress action.
Yeah, ad hoc committee has been very difficult. The ad hoc committee members don't want to meet